Welcome back to Leeds Lately. Before we get into this one, make sure you hit that big red button down below. Apologies for the lack of videos over the last week. Have been very busy, and I've been away this weekend, but we're back now. So we're just going to do a little bit of a transfer news update. And the first one, of course, in the title of the video and the thumbnail, because it's the most controversial news at the moment, is that Archie Gray could potentially be set to leave Leeds United. Now, earlier today did seem as though it was going to be Brentford, and a lot of Leeds fans were like, hold on a second, why would you go to Brentford? And apparently there was contact. Apparently Archie Gray was down in London, and apparently a £35 million to £40 million bid was rejected by Leeds United. Since then, we've had news that potentially now Spurs are interested, which will probably be a little bit more than what Brentford were offering. I don't know if he's going to leave. There's a couple of people have been saying that potentially if we could structure this deal to get Joe Rodon and Oliver Skipp, Joe Rodon on a permanent, Oliver Skipp on loan, and then sell Archie Gray, then it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but it would obviously be a massive crying shame to let somebody like Archie go now. What I'm hoping for is what happened with Calvin Phillips. Now, when Calvin didn't get promoted in that first Bielsa season, there was a lot of interest from Premier League clubs and a lot of interest from clubs like Aston Villa, who had gone up the previous year, or that season just gone. But Calvin was convinced to stay, and he gave it another season, and then ended up going up to the Premier League with Leeds, played for Leeds in the Premier League for a good couple of seasons, and then got his move. So hopefully that's something that we can see with Archie Gray. Now, Archie obviously has a very Leeds-based family around him. His agent, I think Eddie's his great uncle, is he? There's a lot of relations that will want him to stay at Leeds, and honestly, it's the best place for him. I think a Premier League move is too early. I think he needs another full season under his belt, getting starting games in midfield in the Championship at Leeds. I think he's a homegrown talent. I think we need to hold on to him for as long as humanly possible. And for me, he's only, 18 years old? You've got all the time in the world. Stay at Leeds, see if you can get promoted this season, and if you can, then you get your Premier League football with your boyhood club. Why wouldn't you want that to happen? Now, I'm not saying that Archie Gray is pushing for a move. I'm saying that potentially at the moment, Leeds and the 49ers enterprises are open to bids. Otherwise, they would have just completely shut this down and Archie would never travel to London. I think he travelled to London. That's what was sort of touted about on X, Twitter. So for me, Archie Gray, I'd love him to stay. But at the same time, I've kind of learned not to get my hopes up anymore about players staying at one club. I just feel like in the modern day, in modern football, it doesn't really happen. But in this sense, in this case, I genuinely believe that it would be the best thing for him to stay for at least another year to see if he can get promoted, get a full season under his belt, hopefully in midfield, because of course he'd been playing right back for the whole season. So yeah, for me, it makes sense for him to stay, but we'll keep watching out for on socials for what happens with Archie Gray in the coming days. Let's get into some more positive news then. Earlier in the week, Leeds United were set to join the race for Liam Miller. Now, Liam Miller, you'll remember, he's actually currently at Basel, but was at Preston last season, and he gave us the runaround in that away fixture at Deepdale. He was very, very good, Liam Miller, and honestly would be a very good signing for Leeds coming down that left-hand side, especially if Somerville's to go out. Now, I mentioned in a previous video, if you want to check that out, the last video I did about Manuel Fuster, who would be a very good option in a role like this on the left-hand side, but Liam Miller has already proven to and against us that he could be an excellent player. So Liam Miller is one that you've got to keep an eye out on. I don't think there's been anything else to say that's not happening as of yet, but remains to be seen on that one. Sonny Perkins has gone from Leeds United on loan to Leyton Orient for the season, so good luck to Sonny Perkins. Hopefully he gets a few goals under his belt, because his career at Leeds has been very stop-start, when you kind of expected, after the kind of reputation he had at West Ham, that he might come into Leeds and hit the ground running, especially when we got relegated down to the Championship. So hopefully Sonny Perkins has a good season on loan. And Leeds United can confirm that Marc Rocco has joined La Liga side Real Betis, who, of course, he was on loan at last season on a permanent deal now, on a permanent transfer. So Marc Rocco has gone. I think Jack Harrison's pretty much on his way out as well, if that hasn't happened already. I know that the journalist was saying that was going to happen pretty soon. Another one that is kind of a bit of a kick in the teeth as well. Adam Pope's tweeted, as per reports, Charlie Cresswell is set for £3.8 million move to Ligue 1 side Toulouse. Deal looks set to go through once medical completed next week. So, again, Charlie Cresswell, I genuinely thought he could have been a talent at Leeds, come through the academy. I really thought that he could have. I really thought that he could have done it at Leeds. Honestly, send him out on loan. Send him out on loan to the French league. Let him play some first division football in France. Let him get some minutes under his belt, and then bring him back in, because I just think he's a great talent to have to get rid of. But of course, then we go on to the Archie Gray stuff. Later on this afternoon that happened. So it was a little bit worrying. It was a little bit worrying to see all that, but hopefully, like I said at the start, that doesn't end up in him actually getting a permanent transfer. So that's kind of all the transfer news for this week. Let me know what you think of all these stories down in the comments below. Hopefully we get our transfer window up and running with some signings before too long, because at the moment it does seem as though we are kind of treading water a little bit and waiting for things to happen, RE outgoings. The only other thing to mention as well is I think that Max Verber has spoken to the media about his potential moves away from Leeds, or whether he's staying at Leeds, and he did say that he's going to talk about that after the Euros. So expect, as soon as Austria go out of the Euros, if they do, or at the end of the Euros, because obviously they have been quite impressive in their games, apart from Verber's own goal. But yeah, keep an eye out for what Max Verber says in the days and weeks after the Euros, because he could be making an announcement about whether he stays at Leeds or whether he goes away again. Personally, I think he would be a very good player for the Championship. I think if he slotted in at that left centre back role, or even left back at times, and you had Pascal Struijk and potentially one of the signing in that back line, I think you look like a lot more solid than we did last season, to be honest, even though we had that run where we didn't concede any goals. But let me know what you think, whether you can forgive Verber for what he did. He kind of did leave us in the mire a little bit when he did leave, but hopefully we see some signings on that front in any day now. I mean, the signings could see Archie going the other way and then getting Rodon in. That could be the way that we get deals done, but obviously we need to be careful with profit and sustainability rules. But I think I said a few weeks ago, if you want to beat the profit and sustainability rules, sell Somerville. I don't think he was completely settled this season anyway, and eventually obviously ended up saying, right, I'm going to have to just get my head down and get on with this, and had a fantastic season. Let Somerville go, let him get the move that he wants. Well, he didn't get promoted, so we can't keep him. Let Nonto potentially go as well, and then you've got Dan James on the right. You can bring in a Liam Miller or somebody else on the left. Potentially we don't look as strong as we did last season in the attack, but I think it's more than enough to get you promoted. So hopefully we see something in the coming days, and when we do, there will be definitely videos about it, but I have been very busy at the moment, so apology for the lack of videos. Thanks for watching Leeds Lately though, and I'll see you in the next one.